abides in me. Eternal holiness 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 abides in me and you. Hello, I'm Willie from the Ozarks, and we're ready for lesson 299 in A Course in Miracles workbook for students. We're reading from the original edition here on Thursday, October the 26th of 2023. 299, Eternal holiness abides in me. Sitting here on the banks of Lost Creek right near Raisins, Missouri. Eternal holiness abides in me. My holiness is far beyond my own ability to understand or know. Yet God my Father who created it acknowledges my holiness as His. Our will together understands it, and our will together knows that it is so. Father, my holiness is not of me. It is not mine to be destroyed by sin. It is not mine to suffer from attack. Illusions can obscure it, but cannot put out its radiance, nor dim its light. It stands forever perfect and untouched. In it are all things healed, for they remain as you created them. Illusion. So let's back up. My Father, holiness is not of me. It is not mine to be destroyed by sin. It's not mine to suffer from attack. Illusions can obscure it, but cannot put out its radiance nor dim its light. Your holiness. It stands forever perfect and untouched. In it, in your holiness, are all things healed, for they remain as you created them. And I can know my holiness, for holiness itself created me. And I can know my source because it is your will that you be known. And we'll read the associated reading in that lesson once again before we close. But let's go look at our text reading for today. And we are ready for section 3 in chapter 31, the simplicity of salvation, the self-accused. And it begins on paragraph 26. Only the self-accused condemn. As you prepare to make a choice that will result in different outcomes, there is first one thing that must be overlearned. It must become a habit of response so typical of everything you do that it becomes your first response to all temptation and to every situation that occurs. Learn this and learn it well. For it is here delay of happiness is shortened by a span of time you cannot realize. You never hate your brother for his sins, but only for your own. And I think I hear a train coming. You never hate your brother for his sins, but only for your own. Learn that lesson well. He says, because delay of happiness is shortened by a span of time you cannot realize. Whatever form his sins appear to take, it but obscures the fact that you believe them to be yours, and therefore meriting a just attack. And that just is in quotes because it's really no such thing as a just attack. Paragraph 27. Why should his sins be sins if you did not believe they could not be forgiven in you? Why are they real in him if you did not believe that they are your reality? And why do you attack them everywhere except you hate yourself? Are you a sin? You answer yes whenever you attack. For by attack do you assert that you are guilty and must give as you deserve. And what can you deserve but what you are? If you did not believe that you deserved attack, it never would occur to you to give attack to anyone at all. Why should you? Isn't that cool? If you did not believe that you deserved attack, it never would occur to you to give attack to anyone at all. Why should you? What would be the gain to you? What could the outcome be that you would want? And how could murder bring you benefit? 28. Sins are in the body. Sins are in bodies. They are not perceived in minds. They are not seen as purposes, but actions. Bodies act, and minds do not. And therefore must the body be at fault for what it does. It is not seen to be a passive thing, obeying your commands and doing nothing of itself at all. If you are sin, you are a body, for the mind acts not. And purpose must be in the body, not the mind. The body must act on its own and motivate itself. If you are sin, you lock the mind within the body. If you are sin, you lock the body in, if you are sin, you lock the mind within the body, and you give its purpose to its prison house, which acts instead of it. A jailer does not follow orders, but enforces orders on the prisoner. 29. Yet is the body prisoner and not the mind. The body thinks no thoughts. It has no power to learn, to pardon, nor enslave. It gives no orders that the mind needs serve, nor sets conditions that it must obey. It holds in prison but the willing mind that would abide in it. It sickens at the bidding of the mind that would become its prisoner, and it grows old and dies because the mind is sick within itself. Learning is all that causes change, and so the body, where no learning can occur, could never change unless the mind preferred the body change in its appearances to suit the purpose given by the mind. And it can learn, and there is all change made. For the mind can learn, and that is where all change is made. For it can learn, and there is all change made. 30. The mind that thinks that it is sin has but one purpose, that the body be the source of sin and keep it in the prison house it chose, and guard and hold itself at bay, a sleeping prisoner to the snarling dogs of hate and evil, sickness and attack, of pain and age, of grief and suffering, of pain and age and grief and suffering, hate and evil, sickness and attack. Here are the thoughts of sacrifice preserved, for here guilt rules and orders that the world be like itself, a place where nothing can find mercy or survive the ravages of fear except in murder and in death. For here are you made sin, and sin cannot abide the joyous and the free, for they are enemies which sin must kill. In death is sin preserved, and those who think that they are sin must die for what they think they are. 31. Let us be glad that you will see what you believe. Let us be glad that you will see what you believe, and that it has been given you to change what you believe. So if you really want to see what you believe, you're going to see it. And you can change what you believe because you are the one who makes the choices. The power of decision lies in you. Let us be glad that you will see what you believe, and that it has been given you to change what you believe. The body will not follow. The body will but follow what your mind changes to believe, from pain from guilt to wholeness, holiness, and peace, joy. Eternal holiness abides in me. Let us be glad that you will see what you believe, and that it has been given you to change what you believe. The body will not follow. It can never lead you where you would not be. It does not guard your sleep nor interfere with your awakening. Release your body from imprisonment, and you will see no one as prisoner to what you have escaped. You will not want to hold in guilt your chosen enemies, nor keep in chains to the illusion of a changing love the ones you think are friends. And the last paragraph, 32, and this will finish this section. The innocent release in gratitude for their release. The innocent release in gratitude for their release. And what they see upholds their freedom from imprisonment and death. Open your mind to change, and there will be no ancient penalty exacted from your brother or yourself. For God has said there is no sacrifice that can be asked. There is no sacrifice that can be made. Wow, that's our reality. Eternal holiness abides in me. Okay, well, let's go look at what is the real world. And before I read it, though, let me tell you a little bit about what on earth is going on today. Chicken Fried Steak Day. It's Day of the Deployed, also known as National Day of the Deployed. And it's refers to those folks that served in World War II or deployed. Horseless Carriage Day, another name for the motor car, or as Jerry used to say, the machine. He said he was raised by a family that were just coming out of horse and buggy days, and he said whenever they went anywhere, it's been 90 years ago or 80, they'd say, let's get the machine. Horseless Carriage Day. Howl at the moon night. You'd think that'd be on full moon, but it's actually 2 days before the new moon. I guess you do it for several days, huh? In the bright of the moon. Like the wolves kind of celebrates animals that howl at the moon. You might as well be one. Ow! Howl at the moon night. Intersex Awareness Day. Mince Meat Pie Day. And Mince Meat Pie is currants, raisins, sugar, apples, and traditionally suet, which is, and then it's baked in a pie generally. And suet is the fat from kidneys and the loins. You can make a vegan, it'd be a vegan, if you use a vegetable oil and flour. That can replace suet. National Mule Day. And mules are a cross between a horse and a donkey. Horse being the Equus caballus, and donkey the Equus asinus. So a mule would be the Equus asinus cross caballus or caballus. And then Pumpkin Day, getting ready to have a bunch of pumpkins harvested, and those of you that grew a lot of pumpkins. I want to tell you about one out of Baker's Creek. I was telling you the other day there was a 2,700-pound pumpkin. Most of those are the Big Mac's pumpkins. Big Mac's is Cucurbita maxima. And it says in Baker Creek heirloom seed they're 110 days. Huge pumpkins can grow well over 100 pounds. Nearly round, bright orange fruit is stunning and good for pies and canning. Very thick orange flesh, good for county fairs and displays. Remember when I was a kid, I grew up some big pumpkins, took them to the county fair. Okay, well, let's take a look now at what is the real world. And I might play a little music as I read that. The real world is, what is the real world? Well, let's see, I may not be able to, let's see if I can get it set up here. The real world, I'll just read it. The real world is a symbol like the rest of what perception offers. Yet it stands for what is opposite to what you made. Your world is seen through eyes of fear and brings the witnesses of terror to your mind. The real world cannot be perceived except through eyes forgiveness blesses. So they see a world where terror is impossible and witnesses to fear cannot be found. The real world holds a counterpart for each unhappy thought reflected in your world, a sure correction for the sights of fear and sounds of battle which your world contains. The real world shows a world seen differently, through quiet eyes and with a mind at peace. Nothing but rest is there. There are no cries of pain and sorrow heard, for nothing here remains outside forgiveness. And the sights are gentle. Only happy sights and sounds can reach the mind that has forgiven itself. What need has such a mind for thoughts of death, attack, and murder? What can it perceive surrounding it but safety, love, and joy? What is there it would choose to be condemned? And what is there it would judge against? The world it sees arises from a mind at peace within itself. No danger lurks in anything it sees, for it is kind, and only kindness does it look upon. So that mind that's forgiven itself realizes that being at peace within yourself is the only thing you want to do, and that we use forgiveness to restore a loss of peace. And we also recognize that kindness is what's associated with that deep sense of feeling of peace. And that's why he says, let's just look at it again. What is there it would choose to be condemned, and what is there it would judge against? The world it sees arises from a mind at peace within itself. No danger lurks in anything it sees, for it is kind, and only kindness does it look upon. The real world is the symbol that the dream of sin and guilt is over, and God's Son no longer sleeps. His waking eyes perceive the sure reflection of his Father's love, the certain promise that he is redeemed. The real world signifies the end of time, for its perception makes time purposeless. The Holy Spirit has no need of time when it has served his purpose. Now he waits but that one instant more for God to take his final step, and time has disappeared, taking perception with it as it goes, and leaving but the truth to be itself. That instant is our goal, for it contains the memory of God. And as we look upon a world forgiven, it is he who calls to us and comes to take us home, reminding us of our identity, which our forgiveness has restored to us. Okay. Eternal holiness abides in me. Let's see if I can get this here to where it doesn't blow on me. Eternal holiness abides in me. And be sure to do your 2 longer extended practice periods of a few minutes morning and evening. And throughout the day, bring the idea, today eternal holiness abides in me, to mind. And take a moment to let it settle in every hour. And try to think of something during that hour to give thanks about. Also, let go of everything that happened in that hour. Particularly let go of all the things that brought you pain, and you needed you needed a miracle. You needed to practice forgiveness so you could get the miracle. And so after I sing this, you may want to just turn the video off and take that little short period of meditation, depending on what, even if it's just for a minute. I would encourage you to do that. And if for some reason I don't get uploaded someday, and like this time I ended up not less than 297, and 298 got switched because one of them didn't upload properly, and I already had 298 uploaded by the time 297 failed in its upload. So look at your titles, make sure you're watching the one you want to be watching. And the main thing I want to tell you, though, is that if for some reason I don't come on, get it online or find a book, but do the lesson without me. You don't need me, but you do need the book if this is your path. Eternal holiness abides in me. 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 My holiness is far beyond my own ability. My own ability to understand or know. Yet God my Father, who created it, acknowledges my holiness. My holiness is His. Our will together understands it, and our will together knows that it is so. Eternal holiness abides in me. Eternal holiness abides in me. Father, my holiness is not of me. It is not mine to be destroyed by sin. It is not mine to suffer from attack. Illusions can obscure it, but cannot put out its radiance. Illusions can obscure it, but cannot put out its radiance. Illusions can obscure it, but cannot put out its radiance. Put out its radiance, nor dim its light. It stands forever perfect and untouched. In it are all things healed, for they remain as you created them. And I can know my holiness, and I can know my holiness, for holiness itself created me. For holiness itself created me, and I can know my source, because it is your will that you be known. It is your will that you be known. Eternal holiness abides in me. 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 Can you hear the sound of Lost Creek? Thank you so much for joining me on the banks of Lost Creek. Till tomorrow, eternal holiness abides in me. Find it, relish it, let it do its thing of making you happy, letting you shine and become wise. Eternal holiness abides in me.